Hello friends, welcome to Study Spectrum. Today we are going to discuss about natural resources. Maharashtra State Education Board Standard 7, subject General Sciences. First topic, natural resources. Let's start with our discussion. Let me first ask you, what exactly this name denotes? Natural resources. Let's think about natural. Why do we call natural or artificial? What are the things those are artificial? What are the things those are natural? Let's give a thought about it. Let's take example of cow milk. Cow milk is a natural thing, right? Because it is created naturally. It is not a man-made thing. We cannot make it in a laboratory. Correct? But nowadays in market, we also get a powdered milk. You know that the powder and water we stir it and make a milk. That is a man-made milk, correct? That is, we cannot call it a natural. Same way, if we create a waterfall artificially for decorating our living room, we cannot call it natural. What is a natural waterfall? You have all seen it, right? So there is a difference between a natural thing and an artificial thing. So we are discussing about natural resources. Let's give a thought about the subject resources. There are two terms, source and a resource. Just think about what is the difference between source and resource. Source is something we get our needed things from. That is a source, correct? Then what is the difference between source and resource? For example, if I have stored a water in a water tank in my house, whenever I need, I open the tap, get that water, so that water tank becomes a source for me, a source of water. Then what is the resource of water? Give a thought about it. Rivers, ponds, sea, wells, these are the resource of water. Then what is the difference between this source and resource? Something which is abundant in nature and which can provide for all our needs, that is a resource and which is very important. So today we are going to discuss about natural resources. So just let's have a discussion over what exactly our needs are. For example, in our day-to-day life, we wake up in the morning, we get freshen up, we get ready for the school, we go to the school, we come back from the school, then we play with our friends, we have our dinner, we do our homework, we go to the sleep. Again next day we wake up. So this is our daily schedule. What all things we need in our this daily schedule? In the morning, we need something to eat for a breakfast, right? Then for going to school, we need a vehicle which will drop us to the school. In the school, when we are teaching or we are learning, we need a desk, we need a notebooks to write, we need a pen. There are a number of things we can enlist. What are our needs? But these are the very small and in our day-to-day life things. But let's have a broad thought in our life, a human being, what exactly our needs are. We need shelter, we need protection, we need food, we need air for respiration, we need clothes. So these are the basic needs of a human being to be alive at first place. So all these needs, where do we get from? Nature is giving us many things and it's providing all of us for our basic needs. Nature is providing us a food, a water, an air, a shelter, a clothes. So nature is providing us all these resources. So we are going to discuss about these natural resources which we are getting from the nature as our basic needs. And also, not only about those resources, but also we are going to think about our own role in using those resources with some sense of responsibility. Why I am saying that? We will discuss it in coming time. Let's first say which are those natural resources. Let me name them. First is water. Water is very essential for living. If there would not have been any water on the earth, there would not have been a life on the earth. Correct. Second is air. You also know that without drinking of water, you can survive for some time. But without air, if you do not do respiration regularly, if you don't get enough oxygen, you cannot survive. So air is another very important resource. Third is soil. Why soil is so important resource? Because whatever we eat, our food is grown in that soil. All the plants, all the animals which provide us for the food, those are dependent on that soil. And we are grounded to that soil, correct? Without that soil, without the ground, where do we stand? Nowhere. So, water, air, soil, and most important are the minerals in those soil. In the deep down there, in the ground, there are minerals, mineral oils, mineral gases. These are the very essential natural resources. And apart from this, we have animals, we have plants. These all make the natural resources. Now let's think about their renewability, non-renewability. Out of these 6 basic resources, which are the resources which are renewable? Means which can be reproduced again and again and again. Those are not limited. Rather, they are into the chain. There is a life cycle for them. They keep on growing in a progression. So they are always there. Obviously, plants and animals. Why? Because they are living things. Plants and animals are the living things. So they exhibit a very basic and important character, reproduction. Due to the reproduction, they are renewable. But contrary, let's think about water, air, soil, minerals. Those are not renewable resources. We have limited resource of water, air, soil, and minerals. So while talking about the natural resources, we can divide them into 2 parts. One, which are actually living things, and that's why they can reproduce. So they are renewable natural resources. Those are plants and animals. And those which are not renewable are water, air, soil, and minerals. Let's start with the air. Now, in last grade, grade 6, we have already learnt in first chapter of General Sciences, characteristics of the living things, that basic and important character is respiration. All living things do respiration for living. If we stop our respiration, what will happen? Please don't try. You know all that. We will die. For respiration, we need air. Now everybody offers that in the respiration, we do inhalation and exhalation. While inhalation, we take oxygen for our body, because that oxygen is very important for proper functioning of our cells, which utilizes oxygen for creation of the energy. With that energy only we can perform the work we are doing. So we inhale, we take in oxygen, and we give out carbon dioxide. At the same time, plants also do respiration, but plants do take carbon dioxide, and after preparing their own food via chlorosynthesis, they give out oxygen. So plants and animals are complementary to each other, but they both do the respiration for their living. Respiration is very important, and we cannot do respiration without air. So air is a very essential and important resource in our life. But we have a limited air. We all know that our Mother Earth is surrounded by a layer of gases, which we call atmosphere. In this atmosphere, we have this air which is containing very important 2-3 gases. One is oxygen, another is nitrogen, then there is a carbon monoxide, and then very less amount but a mixture of many other gases. But this air is very important for all of us to do the respiration. But what is happening nowadays? Due to the n number of factories and the increasing number of vehicles on the road, there is higher emission of carbon monoxide and there is a air pollution. We always hear, right? The air is so polluted nowadays that we get tired of so soon. People must have experienced this. When we go outing with our family or with our friends, when we are near seashore or near a waterfall or we are mountaineering, there is no pollution because there are no vehicles over there, there are no factories over there. So we get very fresh air. And even if we do so much hard work or if we keep on walking or climbing the mountain for whole day, still we are not tired, right? We feel so excited. Why? Because we get fresh air for the inhalation. But what happens in the city? In city, nearby areas, we have n number of factories. There are not many factories who are emitting very hazardous gases. Also, due to the vehicles, increasing number of vehicles, which uses again another natural resource, mineral oils, petrol, diesel for their combustion, and then exhale carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide in the air. So air is so much polluted, and this polluted air is very harmful for our life. Nowadays, there is day by day very much increasing number of patients of our lungs, our respiratory system. So, while thinking about air as a natural resource, I would love you all people to think about it, that how should we be responsible enough to use this? We can reduce our use of private vehicles. We can use public transport rather, so that there will be less number of vehicles on road and there will be less number of carbon dioxide and monoxide emissions. Another thing, what is happening due to this carbon dioxide? In this atmosphere, in this air, when carbon dioxide is getting emitted beyond the normal limits, due to this carbon dioxide, heat is getting trapped. That is why whole earth is getting trapped under a hot blanket of air. We call that crisis global warming. Due to that global warming, there are n number of consequences happening. We can have another topic on this. But currently, we will just think about this, that due to the air pollution, one, diseases are increasing. Second, we get very less pollution-free fresh air, so our lifespan is getting decreased. And third, our Mother Earth is suffering from global warming. So we should be not polluting air by any means. To reduce the pollution, what we can do? We can plant the trees so that air pollution will get down. Let's move ahead to the next natural resource, that is water. Now tell me, where do we get this water from? You all will say through rain, correct? And every year in monsoon we have heavy rains. So you will say every year we are getting new water. Why it is called as a natural resource which is not renewable? Because every year it's getting new, right? But no. Whatever water we get from the rain is actually the same land water which in first place goes up in the sky in the form of water vapors. So in the rivers or in the seas or in large ponds, that air keeps on getting vaporizing, that air goes into the sky, they forms the clouds, and those clouds again becomes the water, and that's what we call a rain. So actually there is a limited non-renewable water resource with this earth. Now let's talk about how important water is in our life. You all know, since we are waking up in the morning till we go to the bed in the night, every now and then we need water for n number of daily schedules, right? Not only in our day-to-day life, but for our every aspect in our life, in the science, in the technology, in the factories, for progress of any other project, the farming, for growing of our foods, or for the animals to live, we need water. So water is very important and essential natural resource, but it's limited. And also nowadays, as like air, water is getting polluted. Why it is getting polluted? From the factories, we take out all the sludge and all the dirty effluents, all the harmful chemicals, hazardous chemicals, and we leave it into the nearby rivers. That is wrong. That should not happen. Correct? Because that is polluting the water. Due to that polluted water, there are n number of diseases which are spreading. Also, I would love to talk about the personal hygiene. Not in the metro cities, but in the rural India, still there are n number of places where they do not have private toilets. So what do people do? They go into the open air and they have their excretions nearby river only. That is another pollution we are doing to the river. So due to that also in rainy season, there are a number of diseases spreading in rural India also. We call it cholera or typhoid. So water is also getting polluted due to irresponsible behavior of a human being. So while thinking about the water as a natural resource, we also side by side think about how we can conserve our water, how we can stop water getting polluted, and how we can improve our responsible behavior towards the nature. Now what happens every year? Rain comes, that water is flowing through waterfalls, rivers, and that water goes and meet to sea. Now you all know in the sea it's a salty water. We cannot use that salty water for our day-to-day life, correct? We need a sweet water, the water which is there in the rivers, or which is there into the wells, or which is there into the ponds. Now this water into ponds or wells or rivers, where do it come from? It comes from either rain or deep down there in the ground. There is also a water which we call the groundwater, which comes down from the ground. How do that water go deep down there in the ground? Just do one experiment. Do you have a pot in your home? A small plant and a pot. When you water that pot, what happens? When you pour the water for that plant, that water percolates inside that soil, and if it is excessive, which that soil cannot hold, what happens? That pot starts leaking from downside. So this is how water percolates through soil, through ground. So when there is a rain and water comes to the ground, if it is hold there for some time, if we can hold it, it will percolate in the ground and it will increase the groundwater level, which in turn will increase our water resources as wells, in the ponds and in the river as well. Soil will not get dried up. Plants will get much more water, what they need for survival. They will thrive very fast. Then there will be again the jungles, and those jungles will again reduce the global warming. So it's a cycle, it's a chain, and all these natural resources are correlated with each other. So what we can do to conserve this water? We should think about the rainwater harvesting. Now what is this rainwater harvesting? It's a huge topic, but yes, this is a homework for you all. Ask your parents, what is this rainwater harvesting and how we can conserve this rainwater and utilize it for ourselves. Next thing, where there are steep hills or mountains where there is a slope. Along with that slope, water actually flows down, correct? Along with that water, a layer of soil is also washed away. And due to that, there is very less chances for trees to grow over there. So what we can do? We can have a parallel stepping on that mountain part, which is called the nala bundings. Through that, what happens is water comes and rests over there on the horizontal area. It doesn't just flow away. Also, the soil which comes with the rainwater, that is deposited over there, and it makes a very good soil bed for farming also. Just go and Google Munnar or Periyar. Those are very beautiful hill stations in the Kerala, and all those hilly regions, people are farming. Can you imagine a farming on a mountains? And it looks so beautiful that it has become a tourism spot. So we can do it everywhere, and we can conserve our water as well as we can make a good soil bed for the farming also. Let's move ahead to our next natural resource, that is the soil. Now, what is this soil is made up of? It's a ground on which we are standing, correct? Actually, this soil is made up of rocks, of sand, and a soil in which trees grow. Actually, it takes years together. We can say millions of years to make a layer of soil. But if there is nothing to hold it in its place, a single storm or a high-speed wind can blow that layer of soil in a fraction of seconds. How can we stop this from happening? What can hold that soil in its place? Those are the roots of the trees that hold that soil in its place. But you know all that in past many years, due to the industrialization or for the farming or for civilization, people are cutting jungles like anything. We are losing our trees, we are losing our natural resources, and due to the less trees, there is nothing to hold that soil in its place. So due to the winds, due to the storms, due to the heavy rains, that soil is getting washed away, and we are losing our soil. Due to the losing of the soil, we are losing our farming beds as well. It's hampering the farming of India. Also, not only cutting of the trees, but also due to the sludge of this industrialization, that sludge is also left around as a dumping ground, and that spoils the soil. If you put the garbage on the soil just like it is, which are not biodegradable, which are hazardous, which contains the hazardous chemicals, harmful chemicals, do you think trees can grow in such soil? No. Trees cannot. They cannot survive either, rather. So, due to this industrialization and due to the cutting of trees, our soil is getting eroded. And erosion of the soil is making our natural resource vanish very fast. We should also conserve our very important natural resource, that is soil. After all, if we lose all our soil, there will be no farming. If there will be no farming, what do we eat? Because all our food is made up through the farming, and farming is done on the soil only. Without soil, we cannot do farming. We cannot grow trees. We cannot grow our food. Right. And without that food, also animals cannot live. Few of the animals are also providing us as our food, right? Whoever are non-vegetarians, they know it. Apart from water, air and soil, we have non-renewable, very important natural resource, and that is minerals. Specifically, I would love to talk about mineral oils. Means diesel, petrol. Where do we use diesel and petrol? Obviously, in our cars, correct? Without petrol and diesel, our cars won't work, our bikes won't work. And how do we commute then? Yes, but Let me tell you, friends, how do this diesel and petrols are formed in the deep down there in the earth, in the ground? How do they got formed? That is a process of formation of such mineral oils which takes millions of years. And there is a huge resource of these mineral oils, but we are depleting these resources within just few hundred years after the industrialization itself in past 300-400 years. As a human being, we are utilizing petrols, diesels and other natural oils in so much quantity that these resources are depleting day by day, and they won't last much. Nowadays we are using vehicles. What happens to our next generations? If they don't have petrol, they don't have diesel, what these cars are of use? They will be just a garbage, a junk, right? So we should utilize these natural resources of mineral oils, diesel, petrols very responsibly. If we are going a 5 minutes walk distance, why to take our vehicle with us, correct? We can go walking also. It will in turn help our health. It will give us a very good cardiac exercise, and also it will save the petrol. It will save us the money. At the same time, it will save some carbon dioxide and monoxide emission, which will in turn help us lowering the global warming. See, I told you all these natural resources are interconnected. So, while talking about petrol and diesels, what shall be our role of being a responsible user? Think about it and have a discussion with your parents. Let's talk about the renewable resources. Which are those? Plants, animals. Now, why plants are a resource for us? What do they provide? Very first of all, they provide us a food. They provide food for animals, as well as plants provide us shelter, as well as plants provide us a clothes. So in all, plants provide each and every for our need throughout our life. So plants are so much important resource in our life. But you know what is happening to the plantation nowadays? There is a very good saying. One tree can make millions of matchsticks, but one single matchstick can burn millions of trees. Have a thought over it. Trees are very essential natural resource for us. Why? Because trees take carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. Oxygen is very essential for us to live. So trees are in other way helping us being alive. Second, while eating up the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, it's lowering global warming. At the same time, deep roots of the trees are holding that soil in its place, and also it's holding the water as well as with that soil. So it's increasing the groundwater level also. So the trees are helping us to live, as well as they are providing for all of our needs. At the same time, they are helping us conserve the soil, they are helping us to conserve the water also. This much important part they are playing in our life. So what should we do? Should we cut the trees or should we plant the trees? Yes, of course, we should plant, correct? Nowadays, everybody knows there are the movements going on, plant the trees, but not only planting will do. We should conserve them as well. We should stop deforestation. In the metro cities, we have always heard that jungly animals are coming in the human civilizations, like cheetahs, tigers. Why do they need to come to our cities? Because they don't have their own natural habitat. We are cutting down the forest, so those animals don't have their natural habitat. Jungles, trees, don't only provide us the natural resource in form of trees only. They also flourish the fauna as well, not only flora. Fauna consists of the animals. So jungle itself is a huge ecosystem with natural resources of plants and animals together. But when we cut down the trees, when forests are going down, where do those animals go? They will come to our cities and they will harm us, right? Because we are harming them by deforesting. So cutting trees is strictly no for us. But at the same time, we should plant the trees and we should conserve them. There is another very good saying. There was an old man passing by and he saw another old man growing the mango seeds. When he saw him, that chacha, आपकी उम्र देखी है और आप आम के पौधे लगा रहे हो, क्या आप जिंदा भी रहोगे वो आम खाने के लिए? What that elderly person must have answered? He answered, मैंने जो आम खाए हैं वो पेड़ क्या मैंने लगाए थे? A very thoughtful answer it is, right? See friends, we should plant the trees and we should conserve them because those are going to provide the life to our coming generations. Along with the plants, we have another resources, those are animals. Now tell me, which animals provide us as a food? We have chickens, we have goats, we have fishes. All these animals provide us for the food, right? And all these are dependent on another natural resources. They are dependent on water, they are dependent on the trees. As well as from these animals, apart from as a food, can you imagine a world without animals? Can we survive without animals in first place? No. Animals are very essential and integral part of our life. Without animals, we cannot survive. If there are not bullocks, no cows, how do our farmers will do farming? They cannot. If there is, how many of you have pets in your house? A puppy, a cute kittens? If you come back from the school and for a single moment also if you think that your favorite pet is not in the house, कितने परेशान हो जाते हैं? Likewise, there are so many wild animals, there are so many pets, and those are the natural resources. In winter season, when you are feeling so much cold, what do? You wear a sweater. Where that sweater comes from? It's woven from the wool, right? What do you think? In which factory that wool is made up of? Which factory does make the wool? Find it out. Do we get that wool from any factory or do we get that wool from an animal? If you are getting it from a particular animal, then that animal is very important resource for us, right? Find it out, where do we get that wool for our sweaters in our winter? And just think about how important animals are as a natural resource. But in many past years, we have seen that many important species are getting extinct. They are nowhere there. There is a bird named dodo. It's not found nowadays. They used to be. Also, Indian cheetah. Indian cheetah is an extinct species, friends. We have lost them forever. They will not come back again. I know Indian cheetah was a wild animal. It was not our pet, but it's a very integral part of our forest and ecosystems. We have lost them forever. Nowadays, due to the improvement and progress of the science, we have made such advancements that we can play with the genes, genetics, and via transferring genes of one animal into another, we can make some hybrid species as well. That technology is called biotechnology. with use of this biotechnology, we can make some useful product for mankind. But sciences have not advanced this much that we can get back the extinct species. We cannot bring back Indian cheetah. Indian cheetah's genes we have lost forever. Likewise, there are other animals also. Tigers are on the verge of extinct. Eagles are on the verge of extinct. There are a number of other animals. Just go on a Google and type extinct animals. You will find a number of lists. So animals are very important natural resource and we are losing them day by day just because we are disturbing a natural ecosystem. We are disturbing their balance. Because all these natural resources are, again I would say, are interconnected, and due to their balance only there is a life on this earth. So friends, while talking about the natural resource, we do not only think about their properties, what are those, what is the division, what are renewable, what are non-renewable. No, that is just a part of curriculum. But going beyond our curriculum, while talking about the natural resource, I would love you all people to think about our responsibility towards this natural resource. How responsible citizen we should be. So that we should conserve these natural resources so there will be good natural harmony which will provide life to our coming generations, right? So we will summarize. While talking about the natural resources, there are 6 very important and main natural resources, out of which 4 are non-renewable, 2 renewable. Which are those 4 non-renewable natural resources? One is water, second air, third soil, and 4 minerals. And what are the 2 renewable resources? Trees and animals. So we stop here about the natural resources. Thank you very much, friends.